Hi there, this is Dave, and welcome to Appward's tutorial series. Today I'm going to take you through a quick tutorial on how to create a very quick database viewing app. And I'm not going to explain a lot about the general concepts of SQL databases and tables. I'm going to assume that you know a little bit about that, but I'm just going to take you through the process of building an app, putting on a pane, putting on some images, binding it to the table, and then letting it rock and roll. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to bring up my object editor, and I'm going to open my development apps right here, okay, which are already open. And I'm going to click the very last app, press the add button. That will add a new app along with all the different objects underneath it, including the screen, a couple of helper functions that have already been sort of pre-chewed for us, and then and basically let's get rocking and rolling here. I'm going to grab the application. I'm going to press enter here to launch it, and there it goes. It's an empty screen, not a whole lot going on. I'm going to go to screen design, just do a little beginning screen design here. I'm going to grab the text box because I'm going to do a search with my pane here. And then I'm going to choose to use a pane rather than a table. A pane is just a little bit more flexible. You can put different things on it pretty easily. So I'm going to go down and find my pane. Where is it? Where is my pane? Let's see. There it is. We'll place that pane right there. And we'll move this out of the way. That's our screen designer. I'm going to resize my pane to kind of the full size here. I'm going to also give it, let's say, 6 rows, so we're not showing. And then I'm going to put a image in the pane right here because I'm going to see the image of the person that I'm looking at, and I'm going to grab a label here. So I'm going to put a label there. Okay, and that's going to be the name of the person. So I can actually probably make, if that's all I'm showing, I can probably make it a little bit smaller. So let's go and do that. Okay, so that's a quick app. I'm going to call this guy TXT search. It's a good idea to name these things. And in the pane, I'm going to call that person, that object, PANE contacts. Okay. It's a good idea to do that. And the image, I'm just going to leave that image, and my label, I'm going to call that label name because that's going to be the name of the person. Okay. And we need to add a data table. Internally in Appward, I'll show you very quickly, there is already a standard database table called contacts. I can open my database manager. I can type contacts here, and you'll see that there's a table with a bunch of columns, and we have about 250 contacts right now. So, you can literally view any of this stuff. There is a special one, image file path, which is the image, and then there's first name, last name is what I'm going to use in my app. So come back to my app. Let's go to the object editor again. Or actually, let's just launch the app from over here. Go to my app tray. There's the development thing. Here's my new app. It loads it automatically with a little image there. And so now I'm going to come back in here, open my screen. I want to add a data table to that screen. So I'm going to add a data table. So I'm using this class list, add a data table. I'm going to rename that dat contacts view. Okay. Most data tables that we're using for viewing, we're going to add the view at the end, so it kind of separates it. And then I'm going to define a SQL query for that. So I'm going to say I'm going to select. Let's go ahead and select the contact ID. We'll probably need that, which is the primary key for the context table. Image file path, and I'm going to also concatenate first name with a space separator and last name, and I'm going to name that name. Okay, and that's going to be from. So I'm gonna. Normally, the way we would do this is just for clarity is I would separate these into separate lines. It just makes it look nicer. From contacts. Okay. I've defined that query. I just want to discover that and make sure it works. So if I press discover, I get no errors, and it populates the children with the contacts that it pulled from the query. All great. Now I'm going to bind the pane to the data table. So I'm going to come up to the source of the pane. I'm going to use the my parent alias to go back to the screen itself, use the dot to move forward, and then say dot contacts view. And I'm going to reference that to the data table reference ref property of the data table. So backslash indicates the property. So I've just bound this pane to this contacts table. And now that it's bound, I can assign the pane links, which are underneath each image. So I'm gonna link the image file path in the table to the on file name property of the image. So I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna say image file path of the data table, and I'm gonna bind that to the on file name of the images property. And for the name, I'm gonna do a similar thing, but I'm gonna bind the name column with the value property of the label. Okay, so I have now done all my proper binding. I've got my pane bound to my table. I've got this. The one thing I really haven't done is opened the table and actually done my query on that. So even though I wrote that query in my data table, I'm going to copy that. So I'm going to press Control C, copy that, because I'm going to need it. I'm now going to create my func show, or my show function, which gets called automatically when the pop-up opens. We can see at the before show script of the main screen, it calls the func show of that guy. So I'm going to come down to my show function, open that. I'm going to add some code here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define some local variables, one called select, one that's called where, and one that's called order. And this is normally what you'll see in most of our apps. And then I'm going to say, okay, select is going to be equal to, I'm going to use the inline text function, which is kind of cool. It kind of gives you the ability to put multi-line text. So it's a little bit like a string, but you can kind of look at it the way you look at it in a memo or something. So that's going to open that. That is going to be the select statement. Now, it's important that I only grab contacts which have an image file path. So I'm going to add a where clause to that. I'm going to say that. So I'm basically creating the SQL where clause, where image where is null of image file path, comma, apostrophe, close parentheses, does not equal to apostrophe. This is a way of saying, hey, don't. And I'm going to close that with a quote symbol. So the link language, the quote symbol is the string literal. So that's going to basically say, okay, I'm going to select this stuff, but where the image file is not blank is basically what that means. And then I'm going to order that final thing. Let's say the order, the SQL order statement is going to say order by first name and last name. Okay. Now, based on that, I'm going to grab the screen again and the data contact and the data table object. I'm going to set the query to be the select statement appended with the where statement appended with the order statement. Just an easy way of doing that. I'm then going to take the data contacts and do an open method. That'll open that data table and expose all the data. And then I'm going to take the screen and I'm going to update the pane because the pane is operating at the client side and all this scripting occurs at the server side. So you have to kind of tell it, in this case, to go get a new set of data from the table because we've requeried the table here. We need to get something here. Okay. So that's probably all we need here. Let's go ahead and see what we can see. This is running, so let's get out. Let's go with screen design with this, then close it, and we should, boom, look at that, right away. Record time, we just created our data table viewing app. Now, the beauty of LiveSocket technology is it's super fast, handles all this. It almost feels like you're on a desktop, so it's very cool. And this is sorted by alphabetical because we put an order by in there. Now the last thing we want to do is create a search box. I want to be able to type Dave here or something and have it filter this list, right? So we already, let's go ahead and go back to screen design, click on that text box. We'll go on the on change quick script. We'll include the functions, and then we'll say function show, okay? And basically we're going to call the show function again, okay? Once we enter something new, it's going to call this func show. And then within func show, I'm going to close my screen editor for a second. I'm going to go back to my func show. And now I'm going to, even though I've got a where clause here, I'm going to append to that. I'm going to add another where section to say if screen.text search / value is not equal to quote quote, meaning null string, then, and I'm going to say where equals where append an and statement, SQL and statement, where in this case I'm going to look at first name plus last name, or actually plus space. Oh, let's actually go ahead and just use the same concatenate here. It's probably easier. We're going to grab that. Where that is like, that's the sort of comparison object in SQL. I'm going to use a single apostrophe, a % sign as a wildcard, a quote to end that part of the string, append screen.txt search / value, append another quote symbol, a % sign, an apostrophe, and then a quote symbol, okay? A little bit confusing, but basically the link language, which is what this is written in, uses the quote symbol for string literals, and SQL uses a apostrophe for, so a single quote, right, or a single apostrophe for the quote literal or for the string literals. So you're kind of mixing those two together here. Little confusing, but let's see how that works. It should give us our search filter. And come on out of here, and look at that right off the bat. Yes, did it work? Ah, it worked. Okay, perfect, right? Super fast. We have our app. The one thing we might want to do is instead of using on change here, you can also take this code, pull it out of there, and instead of using on change, you can look at on key down. Okay. And what this will do is and what you want to do here beforehand is just say me / value equals new value. Okay. The key down basically calls it for every key that you press, and so we want to take that value that's coming in, which has not been written over to the server, write it there, and then call func show, and you get a much quicker response on this one. You'll see that as you type, it'll filter, which is cool. So DAVE, right? Dun 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 dun. ALEX. BILL. So there you go, your first app, and or maybe your first app. At least this is a cool way of exposing really anything within Appward to a quick app that you want to do. There's literally hundreds of tables that get built for an Appward organization, and you can really dig into any one of those things with make it that easy. So anyway, that's a wrap on the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was a quick one. I'm sure you will probably have questions if this is the first video you've ever watched, but there are other videos that talk about SQL and talk about how to build data tables and all of that. So this was really meant just to show how quickly you can do things within Appward. You know, that represented, I think, something like 30 lines of code or 35 lines of code total. So you can see that even though it's a powerful language, you can get a lot done when you start using Appward object classes. So anyway, please visit our website and our YouTube page for more video content, and have yourself a great day and enjoy coding in Appward. Thanks. Bye.